This is SCP Containment Breach, a horror game developed by Undertow Games and this Russian guy. And, it's great. And I don't just mean great. I'm talking like maybe best horror game of all time. I know that's a big claim, but I'm gonna explain to you why I think that. So this is gonna be the first episode of a series I'm gonna start, which is Sean reviews stuff sometimes, where I review stuff sometimes. So without further ado, let's get right to it. Just a warning to start off with, if you're interested in this game and you haven't played it, please go play it before you watch this video, because I'm going to spoil a bunch of stuff. It's free on their website, no entry barrier for playing it. Now that warning is out of the way, we're going to talk about some monsters. The first and probably most iconic of them being SCP-173, or the statue. When you first meet this guy, you're in a test scenario, you don't really know what you're doing, but then the lights go out and he's jumping all around, it establishes what he does. Right out the gate, you know his mechanics. He moves when you can't see him. And I gotta tell you, this is a great mechanic, given the fact that this game has a blink function. That bar on the bottom left of your screen, every time it goes down, you blink. It makes him a constant real threat. Because if he catches you off guard and you have to blink, you're dead. The only real salvation you can have is closing a door behind you. But even then, he can open the doors. So you really never know where he's going to be. And that's one of the best things about SCP Containment Breach. You always gotta be on your toes. And 173 isn't even our only threat. We got 049, we got 096, we got 106, we got 939, and 1048. And those are only the ones that are actively trying to kill you. And I know it sounds like a lot, but it's kind of a perfect marriage. All the things work in tandem so well. Again, it really keeps you on your toes. You gotta be actively paying attention to know what to do with every other encounter. And sometimes the things you have to do are conflicting. Just an example, 106 can walk through walls. So he is always gonna be beelining right for you through any obstacle. But he seems to take specific advantage of when you close a door in between you and him, and uses that to teleport directly into the room you're in.
Head them off at the pass? I hate that cliche.
But 173, the only thing you can really do to stop him is close a door. And with how long the 106 chases go, you're gonna run into the peanut boy. You're gonna open a door and he's gonna be there. And you then have to think, how am I gonna solve this? So you're really gonna have to think about it. Do I close a door behind me, sacrificing the lead I've gained against 106, or risk the chance you might blink while backing up, then being killed by 173? And these pants-shittingly anxiety-ridden moments are riddled throughout this whole game. It sets that tone the second you turn it on. You go through the intro, the power goes out, you go from this brightly lit facility with all these guards and guns, all this protection, and then all of a sudden, it goes dark. And when I mean like dark, it's not just regular dark, it's like
advanced darkness.
You can't see 15 feet in front of you. And can we just talk about the atmosphere for a second? It works so well in this game's favor. I don't care what you say, but the idea of things lurking just in the darkness is fucking terrifying. Little children are smart to fear that. I know it's kind of a strange praise to give the game, the fact that you can't see things. You know, games are a visual medium. But this game is like that Debussy quote, but like about horror, and it just works. And what also helps, even though this game came out in 2012, everything looks pretty good still, except the D-Class. They look like someone built a man out of melting potatoes. But you only see that in the beginning of the game, and they're not around for long. There's also that hilarious scene where the girl gets killed by the Tesla gate. I love that. It makes me fucking die laughing every time. But other than that, the monsters look great, the rooms look great, even the other people in the MTF unit look good. But that might be because they don't show their face. For some reason, the D-Class is the only thing that really looks bad. But luckily, you ain't looking in no mirrors. And it hasn't just held up in that regard. This game is chock full of stuff. You can tell that so much care went into crafting every single little thing. Whether it's 106's trippy-ass pocket dimension, which you can escape from if you're lucky, but has this amazing fake-out mechanic, where sometimes it'll make you think you escaped, but then you open a door and realize no, it's actually an extension of the dimension. It's a beautifully dreadful reveal. But one of my favorite things is super simple. If you use console commands to unalive yourself, You get this little blurb about how the people who found you have no clue what killed you, and they need to send your body for autopsy. It's such a small thing, but I love it. But I think I've gone far enough in random directions. What about the story of this game? Well, lucky for you, there isn't really that much of one. But I don't actually think that's a bad thing. This is an SCP game, like through and through. So the game's less focused on crafting a complex narrative, and more about interacting with these stories that you know already. And the game's internal narrative floats all on top of that. It's got a very solid foundation. It doesn't really need to tell you that much. All they really need to give you is the specific SCP documents that you can read in the game. The game is called Containment Breach after all, not D-Class Runs Around Facility. But that's not to say the character that you control isn't inextricably tied to the events of the game. Whether it's disabling the light containment lockdown, activating the nuclear warhead, or conspiring with the sentient AI SCP-079, aiding him to take control of the remote doors in exchange for your freedom. The only time the D-Class is really speculated on is in the good ending, where when you finish you'll hear this tape.
Subject demonstrates extraordinary luck and complete mastery of even the most fatal of circumstances and an uncanny ability to predict even the most unpredictable of hazards, almost as if it has performed these impossible tasks several times before. Further testing is required to determine whether the subject should receive SCP classification.
So maybe your character is an SCP and he has the ability to like load save files, which I think is cool. It's delightfully meta. And that's really it for SCP Containment Breach. Or at least it would be. If SCP Containment Breach wasn't so dang inspiring. Containment Breach inspired a bunch of mods, a recent remaster, VR games, a card game, a freaking tactical shooter, which is the most recent one I played. And I'll tell you, it's okay. It's in early access, like every frickin' game is now. It's been out for a year now, which is a bit wacky, but the mechanics are solid and it's up to 8-player co-op, so if you get a couple of your buddies together, it's a pretty good time. So the legacy of Containment Breach lives on. The lifeblood is still pumping through its veins. And I really think that's part and parcel for a game this good. It's an extremely solid foundation that people have been building off of ever since. It's been 11 years and people are still making new stuff. And you can't forget the impact it had on horror gaming. Just look at YouTubers like Markiplier. Before FNAF, before Hello Neighbor, before internet horror blossomed into its modern age, a few titans stood tall, and SCP Containment Breach was one of those titans. So don't forget to respect your elders, kids, because they just might be able to show you a thing or two.